students shocked with electric currents.
Asked them to please forgive me, and I didn't know.
It's only happening in Massachusetts.
Nobody should be treated like this.
The question, can anything
stop the shock? Stop the shock!
The United Nations calls it torture. A Massachusetts school is the only one in the country using electric shocks on students.
As the FDA moves to end what decades of public outcry and legal action could not, 5 investigates Mike Beaudet, digging deeper into why this is still happening, starting with the case that exposed this practice to the world.
Andrea, take your jacket off, please.
This video is 22 years old, but the disturbing display still resonates strongly today. It's video of 18-year-old Andre McCollins at the JRC, the Judge Rotenberg Center in Canton. He was shocked with electricity 31 times that day in 2002 after refusing to take off his coat.
I think that people have not realized who they are. Criminally insane, body-snatching savages.
Cheryl McCollins doesn't pull any punches. She's Andre's mother. The video of her son surfaced when she sued the JRC, a case that was eventually settled out of court.
I used to feel so guilty when he said, why did you send me there? Asked him to please forgive me, and I didn't know.
For critics of the Judge Rotenberg Center, the video of Andre has come to symbolize all they believe is wrong with the JRC. That includes the United Nations, which has called the shocks torture. But attempts to halt the practice have failed repeatedly.
Stop the shock!
Legislation has been shot down.
This court is now in session.
And the JRC has prevailed in state and federal courts. It beat back the U.S. Food and Drug Administration when it tried to ban the devices that administer the shocks. In March, the FDA said it was trying again to ban the devices.
How has the JRC been able to stay open for all these years and continue to shock its students?
It found parents who needed them and who support them. It figured out how to use the laws of the state for their own purposes, and it hired very good lawyers.
Jean McGuire was Assistant Secretary of the Executive Office of Health and Human Services and part of Governor Patrick's team that tried unsuccessfully to stop the shocks more than a decade ago.
Nobody should be treated like this. This is maltreatment.
According to the FDA, about 50 people at the JRC currently have treatment plans that include receiving shocks. It's known as aversive therapy, and the JRC defends it as the only way to stop some clients from hurting themselves or others.
Absolutely just common sense says this can't be the only group of people who present these needs, and therefore all across the country there are other strategies.
The Judge Rotenberg Center opened in Massachusetts in 1975. Back then it was known as Behavior Research Institute, and by the 1980s the state was already trying to stop the school from shocking its students. The name was changed to the Judge Rotenberg Center in 1987, named after the judge who issued a consent decree that year, allowing the JRC to continue the practice.
The Judge Rotenberg Center was founded over 30 years ago by Dr. Matthew Israel.
This archival JRC video highlights what it says are student success stories.
This is Janine, who slapped herself, pulled out her own hair, and banged her head against objects. As soon as JRC began intensive treatment, she became much calmer and happier.
Andrew had very aggressive behavior and injured numerous family members.
Support from parents has been a key part of the school's messaging. Louisa Goldberg testified at the State House last year about her son who's been at the JRC for more than 20 years.
The 2-second skin shock has broken the cycle of his aggression.
Cheryl McCollins isn't swayed.
If anyone tortured or hurt anyone in the magnitude that they do, they would be behind bars.
The JRC declined our request for an interview, but in a statement tells 5 Investigates, the parents and guardians of clients at the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center will remain vigilant to ensure that this treatment remains available to those for whom.
Tonight, it is graduation week for thousands of local college students, and that's always an exciting time. Here was some advice for their proud and maybe anxious parents. I'm past this, but this is to come for her, not for a long time. Dr. Khadija Booth Watkins, great to see you, doctor.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back.
Yes, always good to see you. So 4 years may not sound like a long time, but we know in so many ways young people change between high school and college. So what are some of the most significant ways? Like independence, I imagine?
Yeah, so going from high school to college, we really are working on, shifting from dependent to less dependent. And I say less dependent because most college graduates aren't solely reliant on themselves, so there's still some level of dependence, but now they are really trying to go along this path to become more dependent. They are increasing their responsibilities, they're taking care of their own meals, hopefully washing their clothes and cleaning their living space. They're managing their time and their money, but they're also becoming self-aware of who they are and what their needs are. And so they are really taking the lead on being their own best advocate. So they're advocating for themselves, whether it's academically or asking for support regarding applications and things that they may need to fill out. They may even be finding a doctor and making their first, medical appointment. So they really are taking charge of caring for themselves, or trying to.
Yeah, we hope they do. But of course, parents always have an opinion. So what do we do about sharing those opinions, even if they're not asking for it? We do it carefully?
Well, and some may not agree, but, parenting, I don't believe parenting stops because they've reached the magical age of 18 or now they have a college degree. However, how we parent must change. It's the same as it does when we go from, raising our toddler to our teen. We have to give them the space to navigate challenges, to think critically, and to make their own decisions and to make their own mistakes. And this will mean, we might have to bite our lips. That also means, depending on the risk involved, you might decide to give unsolicited advice, but you have to really think about your child and what their needs are. But your role really becomes a role of more of a collaborative partner. You're helping them, you're thinking with them, you're helping them kind of come to good decisions, you're giving your advice, but it's really a more collaborative role.
We used to say, then you become advisors. Loving advisors, but advisors, right?
Advisors, sharing your own stories and your experience, and they get to decide what they want to do.
So everyone wants to know, what's the plan after graduation? Should parents worry if their child doesn't have a plan yet?
So as a mother whose son just graduated 2 weeks ago,
congratulations!
Thank you. I feel really silly to say you shouldn't worry because we're parents, we're human, and I think worrying is part of the job. But it really is, how do we manage our own emotions and feelings about it, and not to forget to think about how your child must be feeling. If they don't have a plan, this is scary for them too. Also, not having a plan can be anxiety provoking. They may begin to feel down on themselves for not having a plan. So really managing our own feelings and thinking about how we will shift to help them manage a transition, which is a big transition, depending on what situation they're in.
Right. Our feelings are not their feelings either. And you have to help guide them there. See, we're so experienced now, Dr. Booth Watkins.
There you go.
We are here to give advice.
I'll look out for you guys to be my advisors.
All right, deal.
Loving advisors. Thank you, Dr. Booth Watkins.
Thank you, doctor. Be well.
And 3 workers accused of sprinkling melatonin on kids' food. They now face child endangerment charges. Police say they gave children the sleep aid without parents knowing.
Our Rondella Richardson live by that daycare in Manchester, New Hampshire this evening. Rondella.
Ben, police tell me that they were here in November. Neighbors witnessed police visit that house across the street. It has been a long investigation. Police also say, fortunately, the children who ingested that melatonin did not suffer any serious health issues.
Some of the children were receiving melatonin on the lunches that were served at the daycare. And of course, that was very concerning. Probable cause to arrest both the owner, which is Sally Dreckman, and 3 of her employees, charging all of them with 10 counts of endangering the welfare of a child.
We catch up with former daycare owner Sally Dreckman outside of her Armory Street home in a hurry to avoid our cameras. Neighbor reaction ranges from shock to disgust. What do you think about the accusation that she's putting melatonin in children's food?
I think it's crazy. Why would you do that? I would not be okay with that if I was a mother.
Manchester, New Hampshire police say a tip came from inside the home. Parents did notice a change in their child's sleep schedules, too. Sally Dreckman is 52 years old and the former daycare owner. Her employees, 51-year-old Tracy Inney and 23-year-olds Caitlin Filardo and Jessica Foster, are all facing charges.
Doesn't appear that any of the children did need any medical attention. It just obviously upset the parents for just reason. I mean, this is something that is an over-the-counter drug that's usually used as a sleep aid.
All were arrested and released, and they all have June court dates.